Srimathae Raamanujaya Namaha, Srimad Varavara Munaye Namaha, Shri Baladhanvi Gurave Namaha, Aalvarhal Vazhi, Arulik Cheyal Vazhi. Namaskaram one and all. Hope all of you are doing great by Aacharyan's anugraham. Adiyan feels very happy to meet you all after a long time with yet another episode of Everyday Encounters with Emperuman, which is part of our Shri Shabdham series. As many of you might know, those who are following might know, this Sri Shabdham series is Adiyongal's humble attempt to show how even the smallest moments or simple things like cloud or a rain and animals we encounter in daily life can reflect Bhagavan's presence and grace. This treasure has been bestowed upon us by the greatest Acharya, Sri U.Ve PrathiVadi Bayangaram Annangarachariar Swamy, who graced and adorned this earth in recent times. So welcome again to Everyday Encounters with the Emperuman. Today, Adiyan is going to start this episode with a question to all of you. That is, what if someone asked you, what could be the greatest gem in existence? What would you say? The Kohinoor diamond? Blue Hope diamond? Star of Indian sapphire? Emeralds, rubies? We can keep listing them, isn't it? Of course, all of these are treasured for their brilliance and, in fact, even believed to possess powers to bring victory, fortune, protection, healing. We can keep listing them. Yet, together, they remind us that every gem, however radiant it might be, their shine fades. Their worth is just worldly, and their magic never lasts forever. In fact, owning such gems often brings more trouble than joy, isn't it? Too much worry to protect them, envy, and the burden of their beauty. We can keep listing all the difficulties of possessing such a gem. But what if Adiyan said, there is? Adiyan is not saying there was or there will be. There is a gem beyond price, eternal in brilliance, flawless in every possible way. A gem that does not merely decorate our ornaments or crown, but is the crown of existence itself. I'm pretty sure all of you guessed it right. It's just in my background too, isn't it? Yes. Our Acharyas declare that ever precious eternal gem is nothing other than Bhagavan Sriman Narayana himself. The gem is Bhagavan. That's why Andal celebrates his Male Mani Vanna. In fact, in so many places, other Alvars also call him as Mani Vanna. If the world bows to gems dug from this earth, how much more should we turn to the gem who is the source of this earth itself, not just earth, heavens and beyond, isn't it? Yes, so today we are going to be cherishing that gem in our little possible way. Yatha mati, yatha shakti, yatha avahasam. And we are going to do that by drawing similarities between Emperuman and the gem. But it begins with a greater vision, that is, not to see Bhagavan as yet another jewel or gem, but as the gem beyond all gems. And with that, we come to the very first truth to understand. We are going to deal with 3 points today, and they all fall under the category of the nature and value of a gem. So Adiyan is going to currently share an infographic, which was beautifully done by Srimati Sujatha Kidambi. And in this, we are going to be seeing the similarities between Emperuman and gem. So now we are going to start with our first point, that is, a gem can never be separated from its radiance. Similarly, Emperuman can never be separated from his radiance, who is none other than Piratti, that is, Sakshat Mahalakshmi herself. So, let's take for an example. What if I said this is a diamond, but the diamond did not have any sparkle in it? What if I said I have an emerald, but it doesn't have any shine? Will you believe that it is actually a gem? No, isn't it? So when we talk about a gem, we never think of its beauty without its radiance. Similarly, Bhagavan is never without his inseparable radiance, that is Piratti. She cannot be separated from him at any time, in any place, in any form. This is not just our mere imagination. Our Sri Vaishnava Sat Sampradayam is built upon Vedam. Vedam are our pramanams, right? Starting from Veda Vakyams to Shastra, Itihasa, Puranas, Alvars, and Acharyas, they all speak in one voice about this inseparable, indivisible sambandham of Emperuman and Piratti, that is Sriman Narayana and Sri Mahalakshmi. We will see a few pramanams, that is proofs today, starting from Panjarartha Agamam. Panjarartham is considered as one of the most sacred Sri Vaishnava religious scriptures, blessed to us upon by Sakshat Sriman Narayana himself. A shlokam in that says, Vyuheshu chaiva sarveshu vibhaveshu cha sarvashaha thata vyuhi bhavatyesha mama chaivana payini. Adiyan will try to provide all these pramanams in the description whenever possible. So in this shlokam, it starts saying Vyuheshu. Vyuha is where Emperuman is in the form of milk in Milky Ocean as Vyuha Vasudeva. Vibhaveshu is in Vibhava, that is where Emperuman incarnates as Rama, Krishna, Narasimha, all these avatars. Sarveshu, in all of these, Sarvashaha, in every possible way, completely, Bhavati is present. Who? Yesha, that is Mahalakshmi. And what does Sriman Narayana say? Mamacha yeva anapayini. And she is the one who is inseparable, never departing from me. So in all the vyuhas and in all the vibhavas, in every way, this Sri Mahalakshmi becomes the consort and is also my inseparable one, declares Sriman Narayana himself in Panjarartha Agama. So that's their eternal bond. Now let's go to Puranams. Sri Vishnu Puranam. Vishnu Puranam is one of the most glorified Puranams for Sri Vaishnavas, in which 1.9.143, there are many statements that talk about this inseparability. It says, when Janardana descends, Mahalakshmi, his associate, companion, consort, companion in all the deed that he performed, also descends. That is, Devatve Devadeheyam Manushyatve cha Manushi. Which means, when he takes a celestial form, she appears as divine. If he takes a mortal form, she becomes a mortal too. Similarly, when he was born as Vamana, that is, son of Aditi, she appeared in the lotus as Padma or Kamala. When he was born as Rama in the Brihu race, not our Sri Rama, Parashurama, she was born as Dharani. Raghavatve Abhavat Sita Rukmini Krishna Janmani is the other statement. Very easy, right? When he was born as Raghava, she was born as Sita. When he was born as Krishna, she was born as Rukmini. This says that Nityayavesha Jaganmata Vishnoho Sri Anapayini, yet another statement from Vishnu Puranam, which says this eternal Piratti, Jaganmata, the mother of the universe, Vishnoho Sri Anapayini is the inseparable consort of Vishnu. So we saw Panjarartham and Vishnu Purana Vyakhyanams. Now, all these Veda is what is born as Sri Ramayanam, isn't it? In Sri Ramayanam, who is Sriman Narayana? That is Rama. Who is Sri Mahalakshmi? That is Sita. Now they themselves declare about this inseparability. Where does this happen? It's in the Sundara Kandam. The first person to declare this is Sita Piratti herself. It's in the Sargam, 21st Sargam of Sundara Kandam, and the context is where Sita replies to Ravana with so much of faith and confidence in Rama. She's also advising him that he should seek friendship with Rama and return her back to Rama. There, Piratti says, "Hey Ravana, you fool, listen. I am not capable to be tempted by wealth or by your money." You know why? Because Ananya Raghavenaham Bhaskarena Prabhayata. Aham, I, Ananya, not separate from whom? Raghava. Like how the Prabhayata, like how the sunshine cannot be separated from Bhaskara, the sun, I cannot be separated from my Rama. I am not separate with Raghava like the sunshine with the sun. The beauty is, Sri Rama himself reiterates the same example in the very next Yuddha Khanda. This is when the fire god appears in person from the burning pyre, carrying Sita in his arms and restores her to Rama, testifying to her purity. Rama joyfully accepts Sita Piratti and he says this auspicious Sita could never be placed under Ravana's control because Ananyahi Maya Sita Bhaskarena Prabhayata. She is the inseparable one. She is inseparable from me just as the sunlight is inseparable from the sun. The beauty is the same Sri Ramayanam, which was born from the Veda, which is the Veda. The whole quintessence of all this Veda is what Alvars gave us as Pasuram. Among all the Arulichayal, that is all the Divya Prabandha Pasurams, the most cherished is Thiruvaimuri, which was graced upon us by Swami Nammalvar, who is the leader of all the Alvars. In that, he gives a very, very, very affirming, strong statement about this inseparability. In his beautiful Pasuram, Agalagillen Irayumentre Alarmel Mangai Urai Marbha. This Pasuram is dedicated at the lotus feet of Thiruvenkadamudayan at Tirumala. Here, Piratti is saying, Agalagillen Irayum. I cannot separate from you even for a moment. Our Purvacharyars, Swami Nampillai, has given an extensive commentary for this one single line. It dives so deep, it also establishes the nature of a Jivatma. One thing that we all should remember is Paramatma is only one, that is Sriman Narayana. All the other beings are Jivatmas, but Piratti has an exalted status among all the Jivatmas. So for the Vyakyanams, the commentaries for this very Pasuram, Swami Nampillai brings forth how Piratti exhibited all these qualities that a Jivatma should possess. At the same time, how she added glory, how she added splendor to Paramatma. So when she says, I cannot separate from you even for a moment, how is that possible? How is the Jivatma Swarupam shining through this? Here goes the beautiful commentary. Swami Nampillai says, just as rays of the sun cannot be separated from the sun, similarly, the rays of the sun is also at the disposal of the sun, isn't it? Just as the rays of the sun, which remains at the disposal of the sun, yet will add a splendor to the sun, will bring that shining nature to the sun, isn't it? Likewise, there is another example. Let's take a flower. The fragrance of the flower is subservient to the flower, yet it makes the flower precious. Precious. Similarly, here, Paramatma, that is Sriman Narayana, is independent, Swatantran. Yet, he is totally existing for Piratti, and Piratti too remains exclusively subservient to Emperuman. At the same time, she adds splendor also to Emperuman. She brings that glory, she brings that luster, she brings that radiance to Emperuman. At the same time, she is also subservient, that is, exhibiting her paratantriyam and also seshatvam, that is, complete independence and subservience to Emperuman. The same is echoed by the gem among Acharyas, that is Swami Raamanujaya. In his Sharanagati Gadyam, he says, Padmavanalayam Bhagavatim Shriyam Devim Nitya Anapayinim. That is, you are Bhagavati. If he becomes Bhagavan, you are Bhagavati. Hey Sri Devi, you dwell in the lotus garden and you are never separated from your master, that is Sriman Narayana. Then comes the greatest Acharya, Swami Parasara Bhattar. In his Sri Rangaraja Stavam, he quotes, Hey Rangaraja, Anujanuhu, during every incarnation of yours, Anurupa Rupa Cheshta, equal to your form, equal to your play, equal to your divine sports, who is born Indira, that is Sri Mahalakshmi. In case Akarishyat Yati, in case she was not born and she didn't do all these sports with you, what will happen? All your leelas would have been asarasama, that is tasteless, athava apriyam bhavishnu, or even unpleasant, he says. The same is echoed by Swami Vedanta Deshikan in his Shri Stuti. He says the love between these two is such that it is pranaya ghatitam. The mutual love is nitya anapayanam, that is eternally inseparable. He goes beyond this and says, the inseparability is so much so that we have to identify Bhagavan through Piratti and Piratti through Bhagavan. Because we say, Emperuman as Shriyapati, and we say Mahalakshmi as Vishnu Patni, right? So that is the amount of sambandham that they have, and that's the Nitya Yogam, that is the indivisible, inseparable nature that they are always present in. So starting from Panjarartham to all the Arvars and Acharyas, Shri Stuti, we understand that Bhagavan, the gem, is never separated from his radiance, that is Piratti. So with this, we conclude our first similarity between Emperuman and gem. Now, when we say that a gem is there and its luster is there, the luster is constantly present, but the luster sometimes is kind of not completely visible or completely seen. Sometimes it can be hidden, right? So let's take diamond. If we place this diamond under a bright light or sunlight, you can see that it's dazzling. But if we place the same diamond in a hidden box, we know that it is not going to shine, isn't it? Similarly, a gem's luster is sometimes bright and sometimes it's dim. Piratti will be obvious in her presence with Emperuman in some avatarams like Sri Rama and Sri Krishna, and hidden in some avatarams like Sri Vamana avataram. So this is our second similarity between Emperuman and gem. So let's go to this example. When Piratti was born as Sita, we could see her presence throughout Sri Ramayana. So much so that Srimad Valmiki Muni says, Sitayas Charitam Mahat. It has come to sing the glory of Sita. In fact, it's like Sitayana. But in the case of Vamana, where was he? Vamana is in fact a very tricky avataram. Because when he was taking this avataram as Vamana, he was in the first varnashram, that is brahmachari, who has to be a celibate and who has to be unmarried. But at the same time, he could not be without Piratti. So what did he do? He solved the problem by hiding her under the Krishnanjanam, that is deer skin attached to this Upanayanam, the sacred thread. That's why rishis celebrate Krishnajinena with the black deer skin, Samvrinvan, covering, concealing Vamana. And who was there? Shriyam Vakshasi. On that chest resided, that Thirumarbu resided Mahalakshmi, and that Mahalakshmi he hid, concealed beautifully with his Krishnajina. And this same Vamana is celebrated by Swami Deshika in his Dehalisha Stuti. Dehalisha Stuti is a very beautiful composition. Tirukkovalur is where Swami Deshikan composed this Dehalisha Stuti. As we all know, Tirukkovalur is the Divyadesam where Arvar, the first three Arvars, got to witness Emperuman, Thirukkanden, Ponmeni Kanden, isn't it? So this Dehalisha Stuti is singing that glory, the praise, Stotram of Thiruvikrama, the presiding deity of this Nadunata Divyadesham. It's also a beautiful Samarpanam to Thiruvikrama and also all the Mudal Arvars. Because Dehali means threshold. Delhi actually comes from this place, Dehali, it's a narrow passage between the outer and the inner parts of the house. So, likewise, when the foreigners invaded, the Delhi became that narrow passage to invade India. So that's why Dehali became Delhi. In that way, this Dehali, in Tamil, we call it as Reri, Idaikari, Nadai. So that lord of that Dehali, the who is the master of the Dehali, it's none other than Trivikrama, right? So because it's singing the glory of Trivikrama, this has become the Dehalisha Stuti. In that, in the 11th shloka, he's talking about this Vamana. He says, hey Vamana, master of Gopapuri, when you took one of the role, the Prathama Ashrama, the celibate role, that required you to go and seek alms. So you created a Yavanika. Yavanika means like a curtain of the Krishnajinam, that is the skin of the deer, and you hid Mahalakshmi very beautifully underneath that. But when you transformed into Trivikrama Rupam and revealed your real self, those who were present, who witnessed that scene, could actually get the darshanam of Piratti, who was like a golden lightning on your chest, the Swayam Jyoti. So, like how a gem's luster is sometimes very evident, but sometimes is subtle, Piratti's presence with Emperuman is sometimes very evident, like in Sri Ramakrishna Avataras, but sometimes very subtle, like in the case of Vamana Avatara. So, with this, we draw the second similarity between Emperuman and gem. Now, let's move on to the third one, that is, like how a gem's value increases based on its radiance, Emperuman's greatness increases with Piratti. Even our Acharyas say, even determining him as the supreme being, that is the Paramatma, is done through Piratti. There are many Veda Vakyams like Shraddhaya Devo Devatvam Ashnute. Here, Shraddha means Piratti, that is Mahalakshmi. So, here they say Shraddhaya Devo, that is presence of Piratti makes him the Devan. When we go to Sri Vaikuntham, we have this concept of Samyapatti Moksham, which means we all look and take the same form as Bhagavan Sriman Narayana himself. So, how will we distinguish and find who is the real Sriman Narayana? It's done only through the presence of Piratti in his Vakshasthalam, Thirumarbu, on his divine chest. So now what happens is Piratti becomes the Swarupa Nirupakam, that is the defining essence of Paramatma himself. So without whom his supremacy cannot even be understood or established. So Sriman Narayana is established as the Paramapurusha only through the eternal association of Piratti. So, this is why Alvar, Thirumeyyam Alvar also signifies this in his Nanmuhan Thiruvandadi. He says, remember, all you people, remember, Thiruvilla Tevarai Teren Min Tevu. It is Thiru Illa Tevarai. Thiru means Mahalakshmi. Illa Tevarai, the one who proclaims himself to be Deva but does not have Piratti with him is actually not a real Deva. So those who are not associated with Piratti, who carry the title Deva without the divine qualification of having Piratti in their Thirumarbu, is not an actual god. So do not accept, do not consider them as god, wants Thirumeyyam Alvar in Nanmuhan Thiruvandadi. So many such places we can see Alvar saying that, but this is one of those most strong evidences. Again, Swami Parasara Bhattar in Sri Gunaratna Kosham also says, the entire Veda, Upanishad, Vedanta scriptures, they all went into a inquiry. What did they want to find? They wanted to find the ultimate truth about who this Murari, that is Bhagavan Vishnu, is. And what was their conclusion? The inference was, Yat Pada Chinhaihi, by the mark of Mahalakshmi's feet on the chest. The one who has the mark of that Mahalakshmi's feet on the chest is the Paramatma, is the Murari, is the Bhagavan, was the conclusion of all the Veda and Vedantas, says Swami Parasara Bhattar in his Gunaratna Kosham. Similarly, 30th slokam of Sri Gunaratna Kosham, he says, when Piratti's glance falls upon, whether be it like once or twice or thrice, that being, even if previously ordinary, becomes extraordinary and exalted. Now, Piratti's that glance is constantly, Kataksham is constantly upon Emperuman, because the moment she sees him, she cannot take her eyes off him. So, because of that constant glance, the Kataksham falling on Emperuman at all the time, he got it elevated and he reached the status of Paramatma. That's how Swami Parasara Bhattar celebrates Piratti, because he is Piratti's pet child. Basically, he says she is the source of his greatness. Similarly, there are many Veda Vakyams also. But one thing that we need to really understand here is, when it is said that Piratti is greater than Perumal, it does not lessen Perumal's greatness anyway. Perumal, being the Paramatma, is not dependent on any other Jivatma. But then why do they say that? It is to bring forth the qualities of Piratti. And at the same time, Bhagavan likes when his devotee is being celebrated, and especially Piratti, who is the epitome of kindness, who is being celebrated. So, when we say that Piratti is greater than Perumal, it is to show that Piratti's faith, compassion, and grace are so powerful that even Perumal's divinity shines through them. So this is the basic understanding we need to have when we say that Piratti is much more elevated than, much more significant than, much more lustrous than Emperuman, and she adds glories to Emperuman. All Alvar's Acharyas understanding this truth and telling is not a great thing. What is great is when a Rakshasa understands this truth and tells it. In Sri Ramayanam, Maricha speaks this truth. The situation is where Ravana sought his help to capture Sita. Maricha backed off, saying, "Hey Ravana, you fool! I have seen Rama before when he was still Dasharatha Rama, a little young prince. In Vishwamitra's yajna, that young prince lifted his bow and tossed me effortlessly. His valor was unmatched even then, beyond what any Rakshasas cumulatively could handle or endure. But now he is no longer just Dasharatha Rama, he has become Sita Rama. Because now he is Sita's husband, Janaka's daughter's husband. His effulgence has become multifold. Aprameyam hi tat tejaha. It's not merely his own resplendence, but it's the indivisible radiance of this divine couple, the inseparable nature. They are like sun and the light that cannot be separated. So, Ravana, you fool, remember, you are not capable of stealing her, for she is guarded by Rama's bow and by the inseparable radiance of their union, the Sethi. But you know, Ravana never listens to good advice, and we know what happened to him eventually. Ravana was only pursuing Sita Piratti. So, for those individuals who pursue Piratti separately or Emperuman separately, like in the case of Ravana, who wanted only Sita but not Rama, in the case of Surpanaga, who wanted only Rama but not Sita, eventually they will fall in the hands of death. That is, destruction happens to the Jivatma. In the sense, they lose their nature, the Divatma's nature. But for those who remain, that divine couple is our goal. That union is our goal. Serving both of them together is our goal. Their happiness is our goal. So those type of Jivatmas who seek this, that they are the goal, will certainly be uplifted from this samsara like Vibhishana, Hanuman, and many other beings, many other Jivatmas. So in fact, Emperuman and Piratti are joyfully competing to shower their divine grace upon us. So that's why it's very important to seek them together. That union is so important. So with this, we conclude the first three similarities between Emperuman and Gem. Adian would quickly share the details in the screen for you, so we can just go through it together. The first similarity is a gem can never be separated from its radiance. Similarly, Emperuman can never be separated from Piratti. The second one is a gem's luster is sometimes bright and sometimes dim. Similarly, Piratti will be obvious in her presence with Emperuman in some avatarams like Sri Rama and Krishna, and hidden in some avataras like Vamana. A gem's value increases based on its radiance. Similarly, Emperuman's greatness increases with Piratti. In our next episode, we will see where we can find this beautiful gem. Until then, please stay tuned with us. Srimathae Raamanujaya Namaha. Aalvar Emperumanar Jiyar Tiruvadigalе Sharanam. Yes.